They thought the grass was greener, now they regret everything. Have you ever thought, maybe there's something better out there? Only to find yourself wondering later, what did I just give up? This video is for anyone who's ever chased the illusion of a better life, a better partner, a better something, only to realize that the so-called greener grass wasn't greener at all. It was just different, and often worse. Today, we're diving into the emotional aftermath of walking away from something good in search of something perfect. We'll unpack why people leave, why they regret it, and what happens when fantasy collides with reality. Whether you're the one who got left, or the one who did the leaving, this story is all too familiar and painfully human. Let's talk about why they thought the grass was greener. Now, they regret everything. We've all heard the phrase, the grass is greener on the other side, but what if that's not true? What if the problem isn't the grass, but the way we're looking at it? In relationships, this mindset has a name. Grass is greener syndrome, and it's far more common than you might think. So, what is grass is greener syndrome? It's when someone believes that their current relationship, or even their life, isn't enough. They start fantasizing that somewhere else, someone else, something else is better. They might think, maybe I settled, other people seem happier, what if my real soulmate is still out there? But instead of working on the relationship they have, they idealize the one they don't. And eventually, they leave. The problem isn't always the relationship. According to psychologists, this syndrome isn't usually about the other person. It's about what's going on inside the person doing the leaving. They're often struggling with things like low self-esteem, insecurity, fear of missing out, fear of commitment, and past trauma that hasn't been healed. Rather than address these issues, they project them onto the relationship. They start noticing flaws that were always there, but now they feel unbearable. Every little disagreement becomes a reason to leave. Every romantic comedy becomes a comparison trap. And instead of asking, what can I do to fix this? They start asking, what if there's someone better? It's a mental loop of dissatisfaction. People with grass is greener syndrome are caught in a pattern. They constantly compare themselves to others. My friend's partner is more attractive. That couple travels more. Their life looks more exciting. But these are surface-level comparisons. What they're really doing is avoiding emotional discomfort. It's easier to fantasize about something new than to face the discomfort of growth in something real. And when you're in this mindset, no partner feels good enough, no moment feels fulfilling, because your brain has already convinced you you're missing out on something better. It's not about what's missing, it's about what's ignored. What often gets ignored is all the good that's already there. Loyalty, emotional safety, shared memories, support during hard times. But when someone has gigs, those things start to feel invisible. They become restless, irritable. They may start sabotaging the relationship, picking fights, pulling away, even cheating, all because they're chasing a fantasy that doesn't exist. They don't realize they're building a story in their head, not living in the truth of what they already have. And it usually ends the same way. They convince themselves this isn't it, there's something better. So, they walk away, and it feels right for a while. But as we'll see in the next section, that illusion doesn't last long. Because the real truth is, the grass isn't greener, it's just different. And eventually, reality sets in. So, they left. Maybe they told you, I just need time to figure things out. Or maybe they said, I think there's something better for me. Either way, they made a choice. They walked out, believing the next chapter of their life would be more exciting, more fulfilling, more them. But what actually happens next? At first it feels great. Let's be honest, leaving often feels like a relief. They feel free. They think, finally, I'm out of the relationship that was holding me back. They might dive into a rebound relationship, fast, intense, thrilling, or they throw themselves into the single life dating apps, parties, distractions. They tell themselves they made the right call. They convince others too. You might even hear through friends, they seem so happy without you. But what you're seeing is the highlight reel. What's missing is what happens after that temporary high wears off. Then, the cracks start to show. The rebound loses its magic. The exciting new person has flaws, the initial spark fades and awkward silences replace the rush. They begin to feel the emotional hangover, that uncomfortable realization that, wait, this doesn't feel better. This doesn't feel right. Loneliness creeps in, the distractions stop working, and for the first time they sit in the silence they created. That's when it hits them. They didn't actually fix anything, they just changed the setting, but their inner dissatisfaction came with them. The internal dialogue begins. They start remembering the comfort of your voice, the way you understood them, the little routines, the shared history, the emotional safety. At night, they start scrolling through old photos, laughing at memories they once took for granted. They think, why did I feel the need to leave that? Did I just destroy something real for something imaginary? The very things they once overlooked. Your patience, your care, your consistency, now feel like treasures they carelessly gave away. No contact makes it worse, for them. You've gone silent, no texts, no calls, no watching their stories. And that silence, it's deafening. They expected you to chase, they expected you to miss them out loud, but instead they're left wondering, are they really moving on without me? This silence doesn't just bother them, it forces reflection. For some, this is when regret turns into emotional panic. It doesn't happen overnight. Regret isn't always immediate. It can take weeks, even months. Sometimes they don't realize what they've done until they're faced with an empty apartment, a failed rebound, or your smiling photo with someone new. It creeps in slowly, like water filling up a sinking boat. By the time they're ready to admit it, you might already be on a different path. And that's the cruel twist. They thought they had more time. The realization, it was never about you being not enough. Eventually the truth sets in. It wasn't that you weren't enough, it was that they didn't know how to appreciate enough. And now that they see it, they can't stop seeing it. But as we'll explore next, they don't always know how to handle that regret, and sometimes it shows up in strange, subtle, unmistakable ways. So now they're gone. They thought the grass was greener, the air would be lighter, the days would be brighter. But something's off. And you start noticing things, subtle, random, even confusing. Are they reaching out, or just being polite? Do they miss you, or are they just bored? Here's how you can tell when someone truly regrets leaving, and it's not just a case of post-breakup loneliness. Random contact for no real reason. The first sign, they reach out just to check in, not for closure, not to return your things, just, hey, how are you doing these days? I saw something that reminded me of you. It's not the words, it's the timing. Why now? Why after all this silence? They're trying to reopen the door, just a crack, without fully admitting it. Real apologies start coming in, not the vague, cold kind, but heartfelt, reflective messages. Like, I'm sorry I hurt you. You didn't deserve how I ended things. I've been doing a lot of thinking. They may even admit they didn't know what they were doing. This isn't guilt, it's dumper's remorse. They're not just apologizing to you, they're trying to make peace with themselves. They're watching you, a lot. They're not talking to you, but they're watching everything you post, liking old pictures, viewing every Instagram story within seconds, leaving subtle comments or emoji reactions. Some will even check in with your mutual friends. Hey, how's your name doing? They're circling your world again, without saying it outright. It's not curiosity, it's emotional tracking. Jealousy starts showing up. This one's loud. You mention someone new, they act weird. You post a selfie with a friend, they leave a passive-aggressive comment. You get flirty attention online, suddenly they text. They'll say things like, are you sure he's right for you? I just want to make sure you're being careful. It sounds like concern, but it's not. It's jealousy, masked as care. And it usually means one thing. They thought you'd wait, and now they're panicking. They bring up the good times. This one's subtle, but powerful. They say things like, remember that road trip? You always made the best coffee. I heard our song today. This isn't small talk. It's their way of saying, I miss what we had. And I don't know how to say it directly. They're reliving the past. Because the present doesn't feel as good anymore. They're working on themselves, out loud. Maybe they're suddenly going to therapy, or they quit a bad habit, or they're fixing the very issue that ruined the relationship. And they make sure you know about it. They say things like, I've been thinking a lot about what went wrong. I realize now I was the problem. Whether it's sincere or performative, they're showing effort because deep down they want you to see them as someone worth another chance. They drop the guard and get vulnerable. Eventually they stop being subtle. They say it plainly, I still love you. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I can't stop thinking about you. And sometimes they go full rom-com letters, surprise visits, grand gestures. It's dramatic, sure, but it's not about theatrics. It's a last attempt to reverse a decision they now deeply regret. But here's the warning. One sign isn't enough. Just one sign, one text, one like, one apology doesn't mean it's real regret. Sometimes people miss the attention, not the relationship. Sometimes they reach out because they're lonely, not because they've changed. What matters is consistency. Are they showing up, owning their mistakes, respecting your space? Regret is powerful, but only when it's paired with accountability and growth. Regret. It's a slow burn, not a lightning bolt, not an overnight epiphany. It creeps in, quietly, relentlessly, until it's all-consuming. And you know the cruel irony? By the time someone realizes what they lost, it's often too late. At first there's relief. Let's be real, most people who leave a relationship don't feel immediate sorrow. They feel relieved, lighter. They finally made the hard decision. They distract themselves. New hobbies, new people, new energy. It looks like healing, but really, it's avoidance dressed up as growth. Then comes the crash. Weeks or months later, the distractions wear thin. The new life becomes routine, and the emotional noise quiets down, revealing what's underneath: regret. This often hits around the 3 to 4 month mark. Why? Well, that's when many rebound relationships fizzle out. That's when the loneliness becomes noticeable. And that's when they've had just enough time to miss you, fully. The imagined greener grass? Turns out it had weeds too. That perfect new person? Not so perfect. That freedom they craved? Now it feels like isolation. They realize something powerful. Their problems followed them. Changing the setting didn't change the script. They're still the same person, just more alone. Missing you isn't the same as regret. At first. Here's the distinction. At first, they miss you. Then they miss who they were when they were with you. And finally, they regret the choice. That last stage, true regret, takes time. Because they have to sit with their decision, compare fantasy to reality, admit they made a mistake, and face the fear that you might not want them back. That's a slow, humbling process. One that many don't reach until it's too far gone. The deepest wave of regret doesn't come from missing you. It comes from realizing they lost their chance. When you stop checking in, when you post that new chapter of your life, when you glow differently, without them, that's when it lands. Did I just ruin something real? Was that the person I was supposed to build a life with? It's no longer about the breakup, it's about self-betrayal. They realized they didn't just walk away from a relationship, they walked away from their own peace. In the end, they realized they were looking at the wrong things. They were comparing, distracted, disconnected from their own values, and you were showing up, loving them, watering the grass. But they didn't know how to see that until you were gone. When a breakup happens because someone thought the grass was greener, the pain doesn't only hit one person. Both sides ride an emotional roller coaster. For the dumper at first, there might be relief. But then comes the guilt, the doubt, the what-ifs. They start to realize, maybe I overreacted, maybe I blamed the wrong person. They feel torn between pride and regret, wanting to go back but terrified of rejection, worried they burned the bridge beyond repair. And sometimes, they confuse loneliness for love. They reach out not because they are ready to make it right, but because they're afraid of being alone. For the dumpy, the person left behind often feels devastated. Not just heartbroken, but replaced. The message they hear is, you weren't enough. Self-doubt creeps in. Confidence takes a hit. They wonder, why wasn't I chosen? And here's the catch. If the dumper comes back, regret in hand, the dumpy now faces a dilemma. Can I trust them again? Is this love or guilt? Is this real or just a phase? The person who was left has to weigh everything, the love that was there and the pain that followed. Because opening that door again, that's not just a decision of the heart, it's an emotional gamble. So, they're back. Maybe it starts with a hey. Maybe it's a long emotional apology. Maybe it's flowers at your door or a DM at 2 in the morning. Whatever the form, they regret leaving. Now what? Step 1. Give them silence first. If you haven't already, implement no contact. Not to play games, but to protect your peace. Distance gives you clarity. It gives them space to feel the full weight of what they left behind. No chasing, no checking. Silence speaks louder than begging ever could. Step 2. Focus on you. This is the time to rebuild your confidence, your passions, your future. Go to the gym, start that project. Surround yourself with people who remind you who you are. Not only will it help you heal, but it'll show them exactly what they lost. Step 3. Stay calm if they reach out. If they contact you, don't jump back in. Be kind, but guarded. Say something like, I appreciate the message, but why now? Make them explain. Push them to be specific. What exactly do you regret? Don't accept vague guilt, accept ownership. Step 4. Assess their intentions. Are they back because they miss you, or because their rebound failed? Ask, what changed? What work have you done on yourself? If they haven't faced their own patterns, you risk repeating the same cycle. Step 5. Rebuild slowly, if at all. If you consider giving them a second chance, take it slow. Don't rush into old routines. Set boundaries. Communicate differently. Maybe even try counseling. Rebuilding trust isn't romantic, it's intentional. And above all, if you choose to let them back in, make sure they're not just sorry, but changed. Now let's flip the script. What if you're the one who walked away? What if you thought the grass was greener? And now you can't stop thinking about what you lost. First of all, you're not alone. Regret is part of being human, but how you handle it, that's what matters most. Step 1. Own it fully. No excuses. No blame. You made a decision that hurt someone who cared about you. Sit with that. Reflect. Ask yourself, was I chasing a fantasy? Was I afraid of commitment? Or just uncomfortable with myself? Understanding why you left is key to not repeating it again. Step 2. Figure out what you really miss. Be honest. Do you miss them as a person? Or just the comfort, the routine, the familiarity? Is this regret about them, or about you being alone? Because if it's just loneliness talking, reaching out might do more harm than good. Step 3. Do the work first. Don't rush to contact them. Use this time to grow. If insecurity, fear, or restlessness drove your decision, work on that. Therapy, journaling, mindfulness, water your own grass before asking to be part of someone else's again. Step 4. Reach out respectfully. If, after real reflection, you still feel it's right to reconnect, do it gently. Say something like, I know I hurt you, and I'm not expecting anything, but I need to apologize. I wasn't in a good place and I made a huge mistake. No pressure, no expectations, just honesty. And be prepared, they may not want to hear it. They may have moved on. That's their right. But showing humility and growth, that's how you begin to make peace with them and with yourself. They thought the grass was greener. Now they regret everything. It's a story that happens more often than we admit. In relationships, in careers, in life, we chase excitement. We imagine perfection. We believe there's something better out there. Without realizing we're walking away from something real. But here's the truth. The grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. If you're the one who left, remember, happiness won't magically appear somewhere new. It grows from effort, appreciation, and self-awareness. And if you were the one who was left, don't wait around for regret to come knocking. Use the silence, use the pain, grow stronger, rebuild your life in a way that makes you proud. So whether they come back or not, you win. Regret is a teacher. It shows us what we value, what we should have protected, nurtured, and fought for. So the next time you feel tempted to jump the fence, pause and ask, am I chasing better or just running away? Because often, what you already have might be more than enough. You just have to see it. Let me know your thoughts below, like this video if it helped, and subscribe for weekly updates.